Hi, this is Robert from Retro Car Guy 530, and in this video I'm going to talk about the cabin air filter replacement on the Chevrolet SS Sedan or the Holden Commodore VF or VF2 depending on model year. And I'm going to show you the difference between two particular filters from ACDelco. One fits exactly perfectly into the opening and one doesn't. And here's the examples of those two filters I'll be talking about. I have a ACDelco Professional CF1182. And I also have a regular ACDelco, not the professional version, but the ACDelco CF182. One fits, one doesn't. Or it kind of does, but it doesn't really fit well enough to be usable. So after the intro and disclaimer, we'll talk about the removal of the existing filter from the vehicle, which one's the right size for the vehicle, and the proper installation and some precautions to take care of when you reinstall the filter and the plastic cover over the cabin air filter. So let's get to it.
Please review the automotive information, repair, and modification guidelines on this screen. Seek the advice of a repair professional if you're unsure how to perform any repair or modification safely and correctly. All repairs and modifications are performed at your own risk. I'm going to use a flat blade screwdriver to remove these scrivets, as they're called in the instructions, the plastic clips, to allow the cover to be lifted by a flashlight. I'm going to use as a tool to prop it open here.
Alright, I've got the flashlight here acting as my tool to prop up the plastic piece here just enough to gain access in here. So I'm going to go in and reach to the top of the cabin air filter. You push down on it and you twist it a little bit according to the instructions. Okay, it's disengaged. And there's the one I was using, the CF182 that I put in about 8 months ago. It's quite dirty. And notice that there are airflow arrows on this, so we need to pay attention to that when replacing it with the new one. So again, here is my CF182, and it's an exact match for size, and everything fits very well. Width is the same, so that's good. And here is the CF1182, and we'll notice that there's that gap at the bottom, which is, I get it even on the top here, it is 3/8 of an inch. There's a 3/8 inch gap, and also the taper, this is narrower here, and then the taper is more extreme to make up the height difference. It just doesn't fit the same. And when I first used one of the CF1182s, it would actually, without anything on it, we put it in there and it would just flop down because nothing was putting pressure on the top of the filter where it fits in, and it just would flop. So it's not usable unless you add something to it. So my recommendation is not to use the ACDelco Professional CF1182 in a Chevy SS Sedan or Holden Commodore VF or VF2. It just doesn't fit correctly. So if you go for a third-party filter, which is perfectly fine, just make sure that you take your original CF182 with you and compare the size. Make sure, again, the taper is the same on each side, that the width between these points is the same, and the overall height is the correct height. So that's the old one. We're going to go ahead and wipe out the compartment where the filter sits. Take a second flashlight here so I can see what I'm doing. Reach in there. And you can see the squirrel cage for the HVAC blower motor, and that looks nice and clean. The base of this little area where the filter goes does have some little chunks of bushes and trees in here. Got a few out of there, so it's well worth cleaning out, making sure that there's nothing in there. There is also, below that whole section where the filter goes, there's a major drain hole for the body, and you want to make sure nothing's stuck in there, and everything looks good there. So we're good to go to put the filter back in. And let's pay attention again to the airflow arrows, they should be pointing towards the passenger compartment, in which they will be when I place it like that. So you bend it just a little bit to get in through the opening here. And then you put the base of the filter. There's a ridge on the inner engine side here that it should go behind, and a similar ridge over there. And then once it's sitting on the bottom, you just put a little pressure on the top of the filter, and it should then easily slide into the opening where it's supposed to reside. And that tension should still be there once you push it in, and that's what's supposed to keep the filter there, just that small amount of tension pressure. And I'm checking the areas where I've installed it, and everything looks good. I pushed it all the way in, it's all the way to this side. We're good. And that's pretty much how you do it. There's no big technical topic here as far as, you know, how to do it or anything. It's just simple access to the cabin air filter, cleaning out the area, putting the new one in, paying attention to the airflow arrows on the filter, and then it's a matter of putting the plastic pieces back in place with the clips, or scrivets as they're called in the instructions. The only caution I raise here is there is the tubing for your windshield washers that runs through here, and you want to make sure you haven't disturbed where it runs, because if you end up pushing on that, there's a indent in the foam rubber where it was sitting, and it will be there again when I'm done. You also want to go along the top side of the plastic with the bottom of the windshield to make sure that the ridge, basically there's a plastic ridge along the top of that plastic piece that engages the bottom of the windshield. So I'm going to make sure that that's there and it's fully up against that. It is. And now I should be able to put my scrivets back in. The other thing to check here is this weather stripping. Make sure that it's in place. All it's held in by is there are some hooks that are present in this plastic that engage into a hole in the bottom side of that weather stripping. So you make sure that it hasn't come out from any of those. From side to side, there's some wide gaps between some of the clips, but just make sure you haven't disengaged, especially if you removed it. You very likely will have disengaged some of those to be able to remove the piece. But as I said, it's not really necessary to do the cabin air filter, but it's certainly, if you do remove it, I would love to know the easiest way to do that, because I've always found it challenging to remove it from the center part where it gets near the wiper blade arm for the passenger side, and also over here there's always a bit of finagling that has to go on there. So for just the cabin air filter, it's not necessary to take this whole thing out. Just be careful that you get it back in place, re-engage the plastic to the bottom of the windshield, and take the opportunity to clean that area since you pulled it out just a little bit. But that's basically it. So hopefully this video has been helpful to you. You can now see that there is a fitment issue with the ACDelco Professional CF1182, so I would avoid that one. You can use any filter you want, just make sure it's the right size. And hopefully this video has been helpful in that respect. So check back on the channel for videos like this on the Chevy SS Sedan or my Chevy SSR. And thanks for watching.
If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button. If you're stopping by the channel for the first time and you want to, please subscribe. Click that bell icon to get notified when I upload new videos. Please follow Retro Car Guy 530 on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks for taking the time to visit the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.